All right. Well, I'm going to go over the thing that probably everybody is talking about for no reason. Everybody is wasting their breath over this A.J. Brown situation that needs to be said. So I'll be going over that. I'll be going over a couple players the Eagles have interest in from the Senior Bowl or have interviewed. I will go over DeAndre Swift. He had some things to say, and he was on Micah Parsons' podcast as well, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and his future wherever it may go. So let's get into it all.
We better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So obviously the first thing I'm going to talk about is the A.J. Brown situation where Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown were on the Kay Adams show and just talked about everything that's been going on. Obviously the new coaching hire with Kellen Moore at coordinator, and, what happened last season and how did everything fall apart and between everything that's been going on. Now, if everybody wants to wonder why A.J. Brown, deactivated his Instagram, deactivated his Twitter account, prior to the week of, the playoff week, it's because he just didn't want to listen to the negativity. He kind of wanted to block everything out and focus more on himself and not read too much on anything. Because as a player in the league, it's really hard to get away from when you're tagged in messages or, in posts and stuff like that. And he just wanted to get away from that. Even when Kay Adams asked A.J. Brown about, these trade rumors, Devonte Smith started laughing. Started laughing immediately like it was the biggest freaking joke we've ever heard of. Okay? And then, A.J. Brown didn't really help himself kind of saying this. I don't know why A.J. Brown doesn't just put this to bed because it just keeps opening up a can of worms once again. And this is what he said in the trade rumors. He said, maybe they know something I don't. I've been through this before. I'm a vet. I remain quiet. If something happens, I'll be waiting by the phone. If not, I'll be right here. I don't know why he even has to say that. I don't know why if he knows he's going to be here. And obviously, if he was going to be gone, I know Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown had this bounty paper towel, not a commercial, but it was a bounty paper towel show that they did on YouTube. Just check it out because they were just on a little commercial show thing together. And there's no signs pointing to A.J. Brown being out of the offense unless Kellen Moore just doesn't like A.J. Brown for some reason. I don't know. I don't get where all this went wrong. We're blaming the players more than the coaching staff, which the coaching staff 100% had to change for a lot of reasons. Okay. A.J. Brown has done nothing wrong in this whole thing. And because of the new NFL fans, the NFL fans that are soft as baby shit, watches an altercation on the sideline, supposedly an altercation because, God forbid, players need to vent to each other when things go wrong during a game or look, man, give me the ball or something like that. Because I don't know, because I tell you, I watch other players around the league throw coaches under the buses, throw players under the buses. I've seen it left and right from other players. A.J. Brown is the last one who would ever throw anybody under the bus because you know what? Didn't talk to the media for 2 weeks because he was going to regret what he was going to say. And part of it was going to the coaching staff, asking for a change of the offense, and was completely ignored. Not only A.J. Brown was ignored, but Jalen Hurts was ignored, and multiple players probably on the defense and the offense were probably most likely ignored, which those were the big leaks coming out of the last 7 weeks of the season. Okay? Trust me, if it was back when T.O. was playing with the Eagles at the time and there was no social media, and if there was social media, that guy has done way worse towards media, talking about people, throwing names out there. A.J. Brown has done nothing closer to that extent, and it just makes me sick. WIP, they make me sick. All these guys make me sick. It's amazing. I'm glad these guys get paid and they make a living off of trashing players because that's what they do. Because WIP is CNN, USA Today. They're just these media outlets that put out lies because they have nothing else to do because there's nothing exciting and their articles ain't getting clicks every single day in the offseason. So why not stir up more shit every single day? Because To be honest with you, it turns into more than football. It turns more political than football. And trust me, politics need to stay out of football, period. Okay, it really does. And let me tell you something. Eagle fans are probably gotta say this because every fan base could be great and every fan base can really get on your nerves. And it gets on my nerves because we can go back to Nelson Aguilar, we can go back to JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Ray Galore. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous at this point where people were bitching about not getting Justin Jefferson, not getting DK Metcalf. You draft Devonte Smith, and people are actually thinking he was a bum in 21 because he wasn't treated like a number one receiver, and Quez Watkins was. Okay? You trade for a bona fide receiver, and you know what? I don't give a shit. Everybody takes an altercation on the sideline, and it's on camera, and they paint it to the ugliest picture that, what do these players do? Do they fucking stay quiet on the sideline all game? Because it was caught on camera, people got to make it really ugly to seem like that A.J. Brown is the big cancer. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of BS bullshit, and I'm tired of it. I mean, like, look, A.J. Brown has earned his right to say whatever he wants and for people to listen to him. He's broke records. He's broke Mike Quick's receiving record in a season. He's broke Calvin Johnson's consecutive 125 plus yardage record 6 games straight. Seriously. This guy, without him, we wouldn't have half the wins. Without Jalen Hurts, we wouldn't have. Without any of these guys, we wouldn't have half the wins. I think Eagle fans are ungrateful. I think they don't appreciate having Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown, and that's just the truth. Because this won't last a long time. Things don't last forever, and that's just the truth. And when it comes to the NFL, they are quick, very quick. These years that these players play, they end really fast, okay? These NFL careers, they don't last long. And you have to enjoy things while they're still here. And that's the truth. I think we can both agree that sometimes these fan bases can be great, sometimes they can be really annoying, and some people could just be ungrateful. That's just my opinion. I live or die by the sword. I don't care. Okay, that's just how it is. And it's really sad. And I don't walk on eggshells. And I say how it is because every day it's the same shit. The same shit about this trade that's supposed to go down. And I'm telling you right now, and I'm saying if this was going to happen, okay, for what God's green earth reason, if this even happens, this isn't because of A.J. Brown's play. This is because somebody doesn't like A.J. Brown within the organization. That's the only reason that he will be traded. And if you do trade him, you better fucking fleece somebody's pockets till there's through the pockets that there's holes in them. You better burn somebody's pockets so deep there's no more pocket anymore. I'm not kidding. You better get 3 first-round picks for him. You have a guy that's going straight into the top of his career. Okay? Straight into the top of his career at his game right now. And I'm just saying if this is all somewhat true. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, and I'm tired of reading it. And trust me, I can't get away from it because people like to retweet it. People like to tag about it. People like to just talk about it in general. Devonte Smith has been not complaining, but Devonte Smith has been pretty much saying, like, the media has been trying to break us both apart. And I believe that 100%. It's all about, remember, like, someone asked about do you guys care who has the most catches, most touchdowns? Who gives a shit? Like, why do guys have to put statistics? You know, wins are wins at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. I don't think A.J. Brown gives a shit, and I don't think Devonte Smith cares. Okay, but when there's a game and they're struggling and they're losing and something needs to be done, yeah, I expect A.J. Brown or Devonte Smith to talk to Jalen Hurts or whatever. But because what is he supposed to speak nicely and bow to Jalen Hurts, say, excuse me, Mr. Jalen Hurts, I'm sorry, but I think I should have the ball a little bit more. Or because he's kind of like, AJ Brown's just frustrated because he doesn't have a catch-all game and the offense isn't doing anything. We're just going to blame the players. And why do you think the coaches changed so much? Why do you think, besides Nick Sirianni sitting on his ass, pretty much being the cheerleader of the year of this season, why do you think they changed the coaching staff? Jeffrey Lurie is protecting his players. Jeffrey Lurie knows the type of players he has, and trust me, if there was a cancer in the room, Jeffrey Lurie has no problem in getting rid of that threat. He's done it before. This team will give second chances. I know Jeffrey Lurie likes to let these personalities kind of go through. This isn't a dictatorship here. It's never been that way, but I don't think a lot of players had say in a lot of things this year. And I think over time, a lot of these players ended up getting really pissed off over what these coaches were doing. No adjustments, no nothing, no dominant football game, no 4 quarters of good football. Being on a team like that's got to really suck, and to struggle the last 7 games like that, and on top, like I said, having a playoff game, to be even in deserving of having a playoff game, choking the conference, being up 2 fucking games at 10-1, choking away first seed, second seed, division. But then I have a lot of Eagles fans that literally will just sneak by the coaching staff and blame the players totally. Okay? Blame the coaches. Blame Howie Roseman before you blame the players. Blame Howie for not having great linebackers and depending on the Kobe Dean. Blame them for, having, not having a pass rush and having, James Bradbury get burnt every single play. It's just, there's a lot that goes into the players, but blame Howie Roseman. Blame the coaching staff for not making adjustments the whole entire year. Blame them before you blame these players that are literally they're putting that helmet on every week, and they're trying to find a way. They only control so much at the end of the day. I think what AJ Brown's getting is a bunch of bullshit. I've seen fans do it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, kind of upset at this fan base. This fan base wants something. They bitch about one thing, and then when they have something, they take it for granted and start bitching about a problem with A.J. Brown. Let me tell you, I've seen worse than A.J. A.J. Brown has done nothing. A.J. Brown staying quiet, everyone's being disrespectful over it. If A.J. Brown doesn't show up for a game, who gives a shit? He didn't show up for the playoff game. Who cares at this point? Seriously? Did anybody actually think they were going to win that playoff game? I didn't. I was hoping that they maybe would because, I don't think Tampa was that great. But, should he showed up to the game? Maybe, but do I really blame him or anybody else? Hurts looked miserable. Brown looked miserable. Devonte Smith looked miserable. Kelsey, they all look miserable. If Kelsey's having stuff going on the sideline when he was waving his hands around, remember weeks prior to the playoff game, he was waving his hands around Nick Sirianni. That's a problem. You never see Kelsey have an argument with the coach or a talk on the sideline like that. There is so much shit wrong, and AJ Brown's getting the bulk of it. Fuck out of here with that, man. That's all I got to say about that AJ Brown stuff that's going on. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of it. So let's get into other things other than this that does not matter at all. But I just, the more I see it, the more I'm never going to talk about this again unless something happens that's never going to happen. So we'll get into more things. Now, DeAndre Swift had some things to say about his future in Philadelphia, what will it take for him to come back. So he says, the only factor in this free agency decision is whatever the right situation is, whatever is right for me and my family. That's really all it comes down to. So it's coming down to money. It is. I don't want to pay a running back over $10 million a year. It's not going to happen. I don't know. He had a good year, Pro Bowl year. He's going to get more money for that. Over 1,000 yards, he'll get more money for that. And really, other than that, that's pretty much it. It always adds to your contract, when you get to some certain accolades, and then which means that you'll get somewhat more money. I think Swift does want to come back. I honestly think he does. And it really depends if the Eagles want him back. Okay, the free agent running back list, we kind of went over it. You know what I mean? And, there's nobody I want from that list besides DeAndre Swift. Swift comes back, great. Kenny G is the only running back that you have on this roster. And I'm sorry, but the philosophy needs to change. I'm not saying pay a running back over $10 million to change that philosophy, because I think it's a waste. I think it's a waste at certain points. But I think if Kellen Moore has a lot of interest in, I think this would be the perfect back for Kellen Moore, because Austin Eckler is not even close. Not even close. A guy that's so much older, so much slower, is not a natural pass catcher, barely, maybe a little bit, but barely. I mean, we haven't even got the best out of DeAndre Swift, which is a total crime. Should have been the second best back in the league. Okay. Yeah, it's going to come down to money, man. He's not going to say right now where he wants to go. I know he wants to come back. There's no doubt about it. And he was actually on Micah Parsons' podcast, and this was kind of one of the couple times that Micah Parsons actually went on his podcast to talk about some things. Had DeAndre Swift on. It says DeAndre Swift was asked about by Mark Parsons what happened to the Eagles after the 10-1 start. He said, it's tough. Later in the year, people started playing their best ball. It comes down to we ain't making enough plays. People might say play calling, coaching, whatever it may be, but at the end of the day, we out there. We got to make it happen. Whatever it might be called, it comes down to execution from top to bottom. We ain't making enough plays. So, as a player should, and not throw anybody on the bus, he's going to blame himself and blame, the team more than the coaches, and not throw anybody under the bus, okay, which a professional does do, okay? I understand that 100%, okay? So, yeah, I mean, the Eagles choked away everything. I get it, and if Swift was mad at the Eagles or didn't want to come back, he'd probably be like, oh, yeah, coaching was bad. Oh, I don't, some players that leave teams that know they're not going back, they'll just break open, they'll open the can of worms and just say, yeah, I don't know what the coaches were doing all week. They had me doing this, and I don't know what Nick was doing. I mean, he could have said anything he wanted to say right here, but I think this is showing a pretty good chance that Swift might come back. We'll see. You know what I mean? He's not that type of guy. I understand that. I'm not trying to make a big deal about it. But there could be a possibility he does come back. And, he's only being truthful when it comes to, look, whatever the game plan is, the game plan is. We were on the field, and we were the ones that put the final product out, and we couldn't get it done. So and that was actually, I actually watched it. It was actually a really good podcast. An actual adult podcast of no bitching, complaining, and Micah Parsons was actually being professional, and he was actually being, pretty cool in that interview, I had to say. Pretty nice. So that's all I got to say about that. Now, last two things I want to go over: Senior Bowl and interest for the Philadelphia Eagles when it comes to specific players. Now, first player, Ethan Driscoll from Marshall. Okay. Now, Driscoll is interesting as well because he is a left tackle, and I'm kind of already wondering, I know the Eagles don't have a backup left tackle right now, okay? He's very raw at some points. I mean, he's 6'8", 312 pounds, 35 and a half inch arms, and 83 and a half inch wingspan. Guy has got athletic ability, and when Jeff Stoutland sees athletic ability in guys at this size, he likes to mold those type of players. Now, going through his statistics, at least throughout his college years from 20 to 23, in 2020, only played in 3 games, 19 snaps, had no QB hurries, no QB hits, and no sacks while playing pretty good that year. Didn't have that many snaps. 21, played in 9 games, total of 237 snaps, 8 QB hurries, no QB hits, and 1 sack while playing most of his snaps at right tackle. So he's played both sides, which is good. I totally forgot that he played both. I thought he only played left, but it looks like he did play both sides, which is good. I think he's played more on the left, but we'll see. In 23, as a senior, he played in 13 games, total of 909 snaps, allowed 14 QB hurries, 2 QB hits, 3 sacks while playing at left tackle. So he's pretty much... I think he played both positions in 2020, right tackle in 21, left tackle in 22, and then left tackle in 23. So he's had a little tiny bit of playing time on the right side, barely. But, you need a backup left, but you need a backup right as well. Because I think, and look, I think, which I don't understand, because Tyler Steen, that we drafted as, was the left tackle for Alabama, and they want to turn him into a right guard. This right here, you have a guy that's played both positions, which is great. So, Lane Johnson is what you're kind of thinking of when it comes to the number one thing you're thinking about right now is Lane Johnson and how many years is he playing for? You know what I mean? So you kind of want to mold a guy. I think this is more of a due diligence type of like a guy that you want to kind of a little mini project you want to bring in, whether he becomes undrafted or a late round pick, and kind of develop him. And the Eagles have done a fantastic job when it comes to development. Trust me. They took in a guy from rugby and Jordan Mailata and turned him into a Pro Bowler. I mean, that's how crazy it is. When Jeff Stoutland sees the measurables of what a guy could accomplish, you have to put trust into that. And when it comes to Eichler in general, with Ethan Driscoll in general, his pass protection's not great. Hand placement needs to be better, which he can learn that in the NFL and get better with that. Kind of the run blocking has his head down a little bit, kind of gets unbalanced at times. So he is a little bit of a project. He is a little bit of work, but the Eagles like to produce guys. And kind of make mini projects out of these guys that have, 6'8", 312 is just insane. And he's a little, for his height, he's a little on the thin side at 312, but still, as a tackle, over time he'll bulk up and you'll do good. So this could be a guy that they could target as an undrafted or maybe a late round pick. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it sounds like a little bit of a project. They're looking at some athletic type of, whether it's guard, tackle, stuff like that. And there'll definitely be a whole lot more. And trust me, when we get to the combine, at the next step process, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Eagles are always looking at offensive line within the Eagles have a first round pick, 2 second round picks, usually within the first 3 picks, at least probably within the first 3 picks, the first and 2 seconds, they're going to draft an offensive lineman for the future, most likely. So, we'll see what happens throughout free agency. If they bring Sua Opeta back, if Jack Driscoll comes back, we'll see with some of these other signings what happens. But it's always nice that they're still taking care of trenches by this day, even with Kellen Moore in the building. You still want to get as much protection for the future as possible. You don't want these contracts. You don't want these offensive linemen, these contracts, or guys that are going to leave the team. You don't want these contracts to expire. And then you're going to have nobody to really back up a good player with another good player. So it's good that they're doing this, and been pretty on top of it. Now, want to go to another player that I think everybody's really going to like when it comes to Michigan, since they were national champs, is Roman Wilson, the wide receiver, acrobatic catcher. This guy is amazing. This guy is twitchy. This guy is fast. I don't even know how far this guy jumps in the air, because I'm telling you right now, this guy can leap for the ball. He's got good track of the football, good concentration. This guy is great. Is fantastic and has done some great things. As a senior, leading receiver. 48 catches, 789 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Just crazy, man. Even the 12 touchdowns part, that's what I'm saying. He turns everything into a touchdown. The lower the yards, the more touchdowns. Pretty nice for 789 yards. Did well at the Senior Bowl, was turning heads, and it starts to make me think, like, is this more of a due diligence type of, I guess, they interviewed him. I don't know. Are they having more interest in a receiver now to draft higher for a wide receiver 3? Are they going down that route? Or are they just doing their due diligence? And it could be probably the more of the due diligence factor. They're just like, he's here. Let's just interview him, see how he is. And, we'll look at him down the road when he gets to the combine. You know what I mean? When these guys really start their testing to see where they're at athletically and stuff like that, which is good, because wide receiver 3 for the Philadelphia Eagles is wide open right now. And now, Julio Jones is gone. Quez is gone. Zacchaeus is gone. And there are some notable free agents out there for the Philadelphia Eagles that if they want to get an already proven guy that doesn't have the best statistics but will help as a number 3 besides Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown garnishing and Dallas Goedert garnishing all that attention, or do you want to, I would love to draft a guy and produce a guy, but to draft a guy high, that's like the only thing I'm kind of like down on when it comes to like these receivers that they're looking at. This might be more of like, let's check him out. Let's interview him. Let's just talk to him real quick and then be on our way. Maybe we'll see him down the road. You know what I mean? So opportunity. And I think with some players on the roster in general, I think Britton Covey's another guy that really needs to get more opportunity within the passing game. I really started to like that they actually used him in the slot. I think Covey needs a bigger role as like a third down gadget type receiver because I think no one matches his speed. And having this guy on the inside obviously would be great, but do you want to spend a high pick on a wide receiver 3? That's what I don't, because as a wide receiver 3 being drafted high, you're not the focal point of the offense. And wide receiver 3 is one of the worst positions because, depending on the coordinator and who they favor, you're obviously in this offense, you're going to favor Devonte Smith and AJ Brown over your wide receiver 3. But to have a guy finally for the Philadelphia Eagles to have a guy on the inside that can get separate, not even just having a fast guy. We've been through the Shelton Gibsons, Quez Watkins. It's not just speed, man. If these guys can't catch, these guys don't have the athletic ability to contest catches and can maintain the football, and you can rely on them. If the play breaks down, the quarterback has to scramble. That's a whole nother problem. You know what I mean? If you're just relying on speed is just a part of it. But we've had Zach Ertz on the inside as a tight. Even as a tight end, even Zach Ertz was on the inside, and he can look slow as molasses, but he can get separation because he's good with the route running. I think you got to get an excellent route runner and a guy that's excellent at catching. I think this guy could do both. No issue with him at all. I think Roman Wilson's got a big future, and his draft stock just rose up and did a really good job with burning a lot of guys at the senior pro. So, we'll see what happens. But I don't think this would be like the biggest need that they really need right now. Like I said, this is more due diligence at the end of the day because, you're only dealing with specific players that are there right now. And like, the Eagles might interview somebody, but it doesn't mean that they're like that interested. They just want to say, you know what? Let's just talk to him and, let's just go through this and we'll keep him on the radar. We'll see what happens, But, the Eagles aren't in dire need of a number 1 or a number 2, or right now you have 2 number 1s. You need a number 3 on the inside, okay, or a number 2 on the inside, really, when you think about it. Would they actually spend a high pick on a wide receiver? I don't know. You have way too many needs on your defense, depending what they do in free agency. The cap can only take you so far, and obviously you need cap to draft really well in this draft coming up. But, we have still a while to go, and, I know that Roman Wilson will do good, but like I said, I don't think it's realistic, but I could be wrong. Guy could move down the board or something happens. Maybe his testing goes wrong. Because some of these combines, they make a huge difference, Some teams don't care and will still draft that person. Some guys have became successful NFL players, very good NFL players, and have had bad combines. It's happened before. So one little slip up and teams are just too picky. It might see, we'll pass on him for now. He moved down the draft. He moved down our draft board, but I don't think the Eagles would draft a guy that high, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that was Roman Wilson. We talked about obviously Ethan Driscoll, and there'll be a lot more coming. So can't wait to see what else they're interested in so far. We've seen corner, we've seen offensive line, and wide receiver as of right now. So let me know what you guys think about the AJ Brown situation. I know it's tiring. Let me know what you guys think about the 2 guys I just talked about, and DeAndre Swift. Do you think he's coming back? Does it sound like he's coming back? Do you think the Eagles are going to change their philosophy, not only at linebacker, not only at drafting a safety or drafting a linebacker and paying a linebacker to free agency, but at least going in and paying Swift a little bit of money? He was only like he was a little bit over $1 million. He was less than a $2 million cap hit this year. So he wasn't expensive off a 25 4th round pick, which is really nothing. They got him for free, but 25 years old. Love to keep him long term. I think that's what Kellen Moore is looking for. And we'll see what happens. They signed Swift. It would make my year. It would make my year, and I would definitely get an Agent Zero jersey, no doubt. So you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.